Hello, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, a show in which I chat with really cool people about interesting topics to spark, inspire, and motivate personal and professional change. Today's topic is how to use headshots to convey your personal brand. And this conversation is worth your while if you don't feel as if your true self is shown in your headshots, and yet you know that that is the first impression that people get of you. So today we're going to cover why your headshots are so much more important than they've ever been, and why traditional headshots don't convey your personal brand, and how to remedy to this so that your headshots introduce prospects and clients to the depth of who you are. So let's start with some intros. I am Linda Bucher, and I believe that we are each here to make big, beautiful, positive ripples in this world. And my gift and my purpose is to light the way for you to do just that. I do it as a show host, as a master life coach, as a business mentor, as an author, and however else I can do it. And so I love to work with smart, passionate people who are excited about sharing those gifts and making that difference. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Sherri Phillips. She is the co-owner of Deutsch Photography, where they believe that every single client breaks the mold, and that's what their headshots capture. So Sherri, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
It's such a pleasure to be here, Linda, and thank you for lighting the way.
You're welcome. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, who you serve, and specifically why this topic about using headshots to convey your personal brand is worth your while to speak with us about today?
Well, you know what we've been doing for a long time is corporate photography. We do also private photography, but in corporate land, what we've really found over the last 3 years is that the landscape has changed dramatically. With the pandemic, many people were stuck at home, working from home, and now working remotely or in a hybrid situation. And their photographs are having to say so much more about them than they ever have had to do before. And what we've really been discovering in our calls with clients, our initial calls with prospects before they become clients, is that so many of them are dissatisfied with that traditional kind of square, oh, here's my head, that some photographer came through and shot every single person in their company with 5 minutes each. It no longer says enough about them. And they're having to correct that now and kind of make up for lost time by figuring out how to use those photographs to really show how special and unique they are. And that's what we do.
Wow, that's really beautiful. And it's way beyond what the traditional headshots I've experienced do as well. So yeah, that's great. So, okay. So let's talk about why are headshots so much more important now? Like what's changed over time and why?
What headshots used to do was to serve as a credibility check. Oh, I'm thinking about going to this law firm. And so you go online, you look, there's pictures of the folks. They seem, they're real people. Okay, I'll give them a shot. I'll go in and meet them. That no longer happens. Now, you still want that credibility. You still want that immediate check. There's a real human back there. But you also want it because you're not being able to meet them in person as quickly. As a lawyer, you want to be able to say, here's a little bit of my personality. Here's a photo that shows my professionalism. Perhaps here's a photo that shows the environment behind me so that you know that I have a real desk, a real file cabinet, a real, JD in the frame behind me, etc. So critical, not only for credibility, but also to help people kind of find that love match without having to meet that person face to face initially.
Right. I think what it really speaks to is today more than ever, authenticity rules. People don't want to see who you think you want them to see. They want to see the real you. They want to work with the real you, your prospective clients, right? They want to know the real you. And so when you show up all, in all this perfection in this very serious pose, and yet you're a joker or you're creative or whatever, none of that shows up. And I know with the people I want to work with, I want to know their true self. And I've had actually in you can't see it now. It's gone. But I used to have this big blonde streak right here, and all my headshots that my significant other's photographer. So he pulled out my personality totally. So he already did what you do for your clients. And when I've been listed in directories of master coaches and things like that, and I ask people like, how did you find me and what made you reach out? They'll say your hair, because you're in your personality, the
That's
fact
great.
that you're looking like you're laughing in your headshot. Like I got one that's like me cracking up, and you look like you're having fun and you have this bravery to wear your hair in this spiky, crazy, whatever, like I want to feel that free. So they got to kind of get a glimpse of the real me through those types of headshots. That's why they're so important. And I love also that you brought up that right now we're just getting back into it, but for, a year and a half, 2 years, people have not really been able to get out and network. And so this is our first impression, right? So there's so
Absolutely.
much more.
We had a client, a prospect, somebody that we had not worked with in the past. And I went with him online and looked at his headshot on their company website. And he said, it just isn't me. And we chatted. We spend time with our clients up front before we ever do a photograph, getting to know them, because he was absolutely right. He was an attorney, and that photo made him look standoffish, a little mean, which, maybe you want a lawyer, but it didn't show any of his humor, his warmth, his intelligence, and all those things can be reflected, but it can't be done if the photographer hasn't spent the time up front with you to get to know who you are. So
Exactly.
yeah, I get that blonde streak. I totally understand. Yes.
Yeah. Something that you do very well is you post on LinkedIn all the time. And one of the things that I see you post, maybe once a week, is the caption contest. I love that. And it makes me think of like, if you're looking at your own headshot, if people in the audience are looking at their own headshot, how would someone else caption that? And would it reflect you? Right? That's maybe a good test to say, is it time for a new headshot that reflects who
Yes,
I am? So
absolutely.
I just thought about that. Maybe that'll be a good little post to throw out on there. What is the caption someone would put on your current headshot? And what would you rather have them say? Right?
We have done that. And in fact, we do
Yeah.
that with our clients now. We say,
Mm.
what are the 3 adjectives that you think of when you look at your current headshot? And what are the 3 adjectives that you really want your next headshot to convey?
Right. Yeah, that's a really great start. Yeah. So basically what we're saying here is traditional headshots do not convey your personal brand. They do not convey your personal brand. And personal brand is kind of a new thing. People used to only think of branding for products in the past, right? And now in the past few years, people are starting to talk about this personal brand. And it's big, it's far reaching. It includes your profiles on your social media. It includes your resume. It includes, how you show up. And of course, it includes your imagery. So talk a little bit more about that.
Well, so many people now are doing more and more speaking engagements, often online, and or they're publishing more books. I don't know how many of your friends have recently published a book, but man, if you're on LinkedIn, you see them popping up right and left. And what will not work is that simple square photo that you've been using all the time in the past. You want to be able to show more of yourself in your environment with a personality. And for instance, for a speaking engagement, you really want people to get a sense of who you are. They're not going to sign up to come listen to your presentation. And that means maybe stepping off a little bit from the traditional, maybe being willing to flash a giant smile or back up, show more of the person. It's no longer a headshot. It's no longer just about the head.
Right.
And a branding shot really gets into the depth of who you are, not only through your expression and how you're dressed, but through your body posture. The photograph, depending on how you're shot, whether straight ahead or up or down, can convey, a commanding presence, or it can convey a really warm personality. So there's also a lot of technical aspects to getting across more than just the
Totally.
postage stamp.
And this is why you should not be just taking a selfie.
Yes. Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, there is so many pieces to us. I remember when I was on my own personal transformation journey to discover who I am now versus the first, yeah, I was about 45 when this happened, so this was a long time ago, but about 45, and I was like, oh my God, who am I and what do I want? Because it's not who I thought it was, and it's not what I wanted anymore. So I went through this
Right.
big personal journey. And when I did it, I discovered a creative side that I didn't even know I had, because I was like super good at spreadsheets and financial analysis and project management and IT. That was my corporate presence for a quarter of a century. And I discovered I had this creative side of decorating, like just, like, I don't know, making beautiful spaces. So, and the
Yeah, as
first space,
evidenced behind you.
oh,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. And so the first space that I designed was my bedroom, and I wanted it to reflect who I am, who I discovered about myself. And so I did a couple things in it. First of all, what was important to me, and I use adjectives. So it's really similar to like what you were saying. I use adjectives. How do I want to feel when I'm in this room? Right. I want to
Yep.
feel, I want to feel luxury. I want to feel flow. I want to feel ease. I want to feel peace. So I had like some words. And so I had a really cool platform bed that was like, it kind of went woo, like a big wave. I had a curvy dresser. So that was my flow piece. I had a big giant mirror, 6 feet by 4 feet. Now, I don't need a mirror that big to see all of me, right? But I was ready to see all of me. And so it represented something bigger, right? And then
Yes.
I have this vase. It's still here. People think it's kind of creepy, but well, not everybody. Some people love it, either love it or hate it. It's a really cool bisque white vase and has 8 faces, 3-dimensional faces, where one eye becomes the eye of the next, and it just goes around. It's very cool. And it's because there was so much to me. There's so many facets to me. And that's why that vase belonged in there. And this is something that you're helping people bring out, in the photography, in their imagery, is there are so many parts and pieces to us. But it can be very scary to let that show. And
For sure.
that's one part. That's something I help my clients with is, when they're afraid to be who they are, or even upstream of that, if they don't know, if they're in that place where I was when I was 45, like, okay, I'm not who I was and I don't want what I used to want, like, but I don't know who I am and I don't know what I want, right? So how do I know what to portray? How do I be authentic when I don't even have the answer? And that's when
Hmm.
someone will come and work with a coach, to discover who they are, what they want,
Yep.
what's next, and align their direction and their energy with the purpose and passion that they find when we work together. And then they're like ready. I'm like, go see Sherri, go to see Deutsch Photography. Because that's part of that alignment. Like, that's one of the things I do, is help people align their direction and their energy with their passion and purpose. And then you're helping them align their personal brand to exactly what they discovered.
Yeah. That self-knowledge is so crucial in really nailing a headshot that breaks the mold, that really shows who you are. And again, I'm using headshot broadly because I'll just give you an example. One of our clients is an insurance agent, and all she had was that traditional postage stamp of a headshot. She really wanted to get more. She was getting out a lot more on social media. She was spending time doing online networking. She was using LinkedIn a lot more. And she was also dissatisfied with the postage stamp on her company website. So with that self-knowledge, though, she spent time with us, and we spent a good probably hour ahead of the shoot, really sitting down and delving into, okay, you want to show how professional you are, but also you have this very warm presence, a friendly demeanor. You clearly are competent. You're part of the fabric of the city, which is really important for her as an insurance agent. So what we ended up doing was we shot the traditional just face shot that she can use on LinkedIn. But then we also showed her on her phone, busy with clients. We showed her coming out of a New York subway, which is her terrain. We showed a very professional shot of her outside, where she spends a lot of time going between clients in a very professional outfit, but clearly part of the environment of New York City. And that just accomplished so much for her. She uses those photos everywhere. And while none of them are the same photo, they all are part of the whole. And that's what people will see when they go on to social media, the LinkedIn, the company website, or these different, slightly different facets of her that add up to being the complex person she is.
Yes. So that's the answer to this question that we're posing about, how to get more out of your headshots and, how to use your headshots to convey your personal brand. The answer is, on my side, really get to know who you are, and so you can be aligned in your entire personal branding to who that is. And number two, sit with your photographer, like Deutsch Photography. And if you're a photographer and they're not trying to get to know who you are and what you're all about, then you're at the wrong place.
That is absolutely true.
Like,
Absolutely critical to go through galleries and make sure that technically the quality is up to par. Definitely. But without that knowledge that you bring out in people, Linda, you will just look like one more person on, the mill.
right.
So
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and also like when they're looking through, like we'll send them to your website. So they can look through the portfolio. What I notice when I see the LinkedIn post that you're doing is that personality of everyone, that all these shots that you show up there, I'm like, I feel like I kind of know them, or I get them, or I relate. That is a gift. That type of photography, that's not, I mean, there's a lot of photographers that know composition and lighting, but this, drawing out who they are, this is a whole nother level. And this is how we get our personal brands out into the world. So
absolutely. Everybody has a story, and imagery can help tell it. But if you don't know the story, then there's no way to convey the story. Yeah,
exactly,
convey who that person
exactly.
is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So this is great. Thank you so much. I am so excited that I had you here with me today, and for our audience, Sherri Phillips of Deutsch Photography. Sherri, how can people get in touch with you? And whatever you tell me, I will definitely put into the description of this video.
The best place to come to get to know us is swing by our website, take a look. All of our contact information is on there. Our work is on there. And I am thrilled to take calls, emails, Zooms, etc., to chat more about what you're looking for and how we can help you convey who you really are.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so once again, I'm Linda Bucher, helping you to lighten your load and unleash that bigness inside of you and make those big, beautiful, positive ripples that you are here to make. And I'd like to thank Sherri Phillips of Deutsch Photography, as well as you, our audience, for sharing your time with me today. So please subscribe and remember to check the description where you'll find our contact information. And until next time, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.